All right, hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in tonight. This is the season premiere episode of D14 Tonight. This is KUM's weekly election show where we basically cover everything that's going to happen up until the general election on the first Tuesday of November. Pardon me for not knowing exactly when that is. I'm assuming it's like November 3rd or something like that. But I'm Jason Salas, and I am going to be your host / moderator. I'm just going to sit here and let you guys have the conversation. So if you want to be invited, make sure to post a comment or fill out the form that we've attached. You can either do this on live YouTube video or on the link that we put up, because we've got some good stuff coming up. It's going to be a lot of, oops. And I better make sure not to play the stream in the background because I'm getting feedback. I always do that. Okay, so remember, you can watch this live on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. And let me add some stuff.
You're going to get foul
No, as soon as they're done with first block.
Actually, back here?
Yeah. Okay. So I get the rollover.
You get the rollover?
Yeah.
Rollover or leftovers?
Same thing. Okay, that was one of the senators. So basically, the way this works, if you're watching this live, is we want you to actually watch TV and then watch our show at the same time. You can't see this right now, obviously, if you're on TV, but our camera guy is back there. As my picture is really fuzzy as it stabilizes. So what we want you to do is we actually want you to watch our TV broadcast. Sabrina is in the studio right now, and she's going to be introducing different segments that we've got. You know, we've got a new segment called Cruising with the Candidates, where Chris Barnett actually went out with Madeline Berdallo, of course, the incumbent congressional delegate, and he took her on a little stroll. You know, he was driving, and they just talked about some of the issues facing Guam and what Guam's challenges are for Washington, pertinent to her responsibilities. And so what Sabrina's doing is she's got a lot of senatorial candidates, and she's talking to them on the air, taking your phone calls and whatnot, and various questions that you posed earlier in the day on Facebook. As soon as they're done, she's going to get a different batch of candidates, and then I get that previous batch. It might be a little confusing at first, but trust me, it's like as soon as they're done on TV, they come back here, and then we, the online community, get our shot. So, you know, we get to interact with them. They're actually going to be sitting right next to me live, so if you want to jump in, you can do that. If you just want to sit back and passively watch, that's totally cool too, but we'd rather have you involved interactively and live in real time here. So post a comment and let us know if you would like to join, and we'll definitely send you an invite and add you to our group. And I'm still setting up our stuff on, whoops, on our Facebook page. And let me blast it out on Twitter too. Yeah, she's gonna throw. Yeah. Hey, we're on the air, dude. Okay, check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2. Yeah, everybody, we are live right now. I've tried to tell my colleagues that, but check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2. Yeah, if you want to.
Are you on air right now?
No, well, we're streaming right now.
First off, how are you doing, man?
Not good. Just got like a million different devices here. Now, come on, jump in.
No,
if you want. They're doing a live throw to me. They're doing like a minute-long throw. So.
Better you than me, man. I just want to say.
Oh, you guys are up first. Okay. Okay, so as you may have seen, we tried to tell our colleagues to keep things clean. And apparently, a couple of them didn't get the memo. Just jumped right in there. And the guys I was talking to in the back, those were our political analysts. So hoping to bring those guys on in a little bit. But yeah, we got a good show for you guys, and this is something we're going to do every Monday on Guam local time starting at 6:30. But if you want to be part of our panel, if you want to just join week after week, or if your favorite candidates only come on, you can just do like a one-and-done thing. That's totally cool. Absolutely your prerogative. Just make sure to sign up and be a panelist. If you're on Google+, this is the easiest way that you can do this. Join our circle, and then that way you'll always get the invite. You don't always have to join, but at least you'll be in the know. We'll also have this on Facebook and Twitter, and of course on Instagram. So it's we're doing a lot of curation of exactly who we're getting there. So it's going to be pretty cool. And thanks to Triple J for bringing this webcast to you. Hope to get some folks. I realize it's dinner time and some folks are heading home, but we got a pretty good number of people who signed up already. We posted a Google Docs form, so a bunch of people indicated that they'd like to jump in, and they're going to do so hopefully momentarily. And I'm guessing by my watch. Oh yeah, they are just about to start. So as far as the flow and how tonight goes, okay, there are mics out of the shot right now. There are basically these big microphones, and there are 2 of them here because Jacob, the camera guy, introduced you guys to not too long ago. We are, are we on the air right now? Okay. We got about a minute more until we go live to the D14 show, which again, we'd like to encourage you to watch right now, live if you're watching us in real time on KUN TV8. And you'll be able to actually see the entire thing. So again, if you're just joining us, what we want you to do is watch TV, and we've created the second screen experience. So it's kind of like doing Twitter when you're watching a football game. You can actually jump in, the conversation continues, all that stuff. It's a lot more context, a lot more ways to get interactive. If you want to ask a question, we will definitely take those, and we will entertain those to our guests tonight. We have 5 senatorial candidates. A couple of them actually walked by just a couple minutes ago. But yeah, we want you to watch TV and also have this running in the background. If you've got different digital devices, it's a perfect way to max out your bandwidth. And so now basically I'm just hanging out waiting until Sabrina throws to me live, and I just basically do a tease. Okay, and Jacob was telling me my water bottle was in the shot, and we are 60 seconds until I do my thing. Okay, and I can already see here now from our analytics that we have some viewers and people streaming this live, so half a day. Good to have you guys on board. And there's another colleague using some rather choice language. I got to talk to these guys about language.
If you're going to video chat, make sure you make it clear to the guys and make sure it's a segment that you are.
For the first one?
I'm not sure when.
Okay.
Because you did that backwards. I don't know when you're showing, and it's not in the rundown.
Oh no, that ran in prime time.
Oh, okay. So
yeah. Yeah, this is just teased. Okay, here we go. Oh, stand by me or stand by them? Oh, okay. 30 seconds. Oh, and I got a lovely thing right there. Can you guys see that? Ouch. Not cool. I had a couple donuts yesterday. Here we go. All right, thanks so much, for Sabrina and Hafide, and good evening, everybody. I am right now in our Digital Control Center, and what we have here tonight, and we're bringing this to you for the next hour of live television, is what we're referring to as our virtual studio audience. Now, we set up a Google Plus Hangout, which is a multi-user video chat, and we want you out there in TV land to actually jump in. And what we've done is we've created a second screen experience. So while you're watching TV and you have this up on your big plasma TV, or you may be hanging out at a bar or doing something, you're making dinner for the family, we actually want you to run our Hangout in the background on a laptop, on a tablet, on a phone, what have you, whatever digital device, smartwatch, glass, whatever, and actually run this, because we're going to have some of the candidates are going to jump in tonight. They're going to be doing a live video chat with some of the members of the online community right now. We are live on YouTube as we say this, So we've got our webcams here, and we've got a completely different experience that we're integrating into the core TV product. So you can actually watch 2 different shows at the same time, but it's all basically the same thing. You can ask questions, and you can directly interact with the candidates that are running for senator. So make sure to go to our Facebook fan page and watch the live stream. You know, again, we're on YouTube Live right now. Post a comment if you'd like to jump in the Hangout. We'd love to have you. Everybody's welcome, and we'll see you in a bit. All right, and if you're watching this on TV, then they go back to Sabrina. So hence the mic. So that runs all the way back there. And let me see. Okay, a couple more people are watching right now, and we've got a couple more requests, so I am going to send out some invites. Very cool. That's one cool thing about doing this kind of thing at KUM is we've got a really cool audience, and people love to do these kind of interactive exhibits with us, even though it is dinner time, so I realize I can be kind of, whoops. That can be a little weird, you know, if you're making a dinner for the family or you're in the drive-thru grabbing something, but yeah, totally cool. The funny thing, you guys are watching TV right now. Hopefully, again, you're doing both of these at the same time. I am not. I don't have a monitor back here, so I actually have no idea what's going on as far as the TV thing. So that's why my partner Jacob over there is basically telling me what's going on. Okay, and if you guys want to see what we actually have here off camera, there is us. So that's all of, whoops. Yeah, if I can get this in frame. Okay, there we are. And there is a huge 80-inch plasma TV just 2 feet over my shoulder. And we're going to use that because, once again, Jacob and he is actually shooting that. So when some of the candidates come in here, they're all going to be in a row, and we're going to be talking to you guys, taking your questions, and then actually showing that up on the big TV screen. So the angle and the perspective is going to be really neat. We've never done anything like this before, and this is a first for Guam. So really happy to bring this to you. So again, if you want to jump in, you can post a comment on the YouTube live feed, or you can post a comment either on Twitter or on Facebook, and we will send you an invite. And all you need is basically your Gmail address, nothing more than that. And you will be in. And we've got some candidates coming up, I say, in about another, I think we're in the middle of a segment right now, maybe another 6 or 7 minutes. And for those of you wondering, we do D14 tonight. This is the season premiere tonight, and we go every single Monday from 6:30 to 7:30. So it's an hour-long program up until the general election on the first Tuesday of November. So Super Tuesday. And because we've got some time, I've got Glass here, and I am catching up on NFL scores and college scores. My Michigan Wolverines did not do very well. Yeah, let's not go there. We actually carried that game live, and I was watching that, and I was not a happy camper. We carried the Notre Dame games, of course, because we're NBC, but yeah. Look it up. I've actually started seeing a chiropractor. You ever go to the chiropractor? Yeah, I started doing that maybe like a year ago. And I mean, I'm 6'3" anyway, but man, when I do that, I feel like I'm 9 feet tall. Ready? Yeah. Oh, just got an alert.
Which chiropractor do you go to?
Right next door. Roger Martinez. Yeah, we're lucky because we're here in Harmon. We've got like so many, you know, Harmon's kind of like a mini business district. So we've got, you know, the bank is, well, no, we've got 2 banks, one on either side of us within, you know, walking distance isn't even, you know, it's super close. I'm trying to think of a way to, we've got First Hawaiian Bank on one side, Bank of Guam on the other. There are 2 chiropractic clinics, there are restaurants here, you know, everything's in walking distance. Like the next building over, literally. Yeah, Jacob just said yes. And in case you're wondering, for those of you who are old school KUM fans, I don't think, is there anybody here that from the old days when the station was in orbit? No, like our technical director's been here, I think, 21 years and everything like that. But yeah, he doesn't go back that far. Wow, that is noticeable. Yikes. I didn't have to anchor the news tonight, so no makeup. So hence the dermatology problem. Okay, we got some more people watching now. Cool. Hope you guys are having a good one. And welcome to D14 Tonight, the premiere episode, and this is our virtual studio audience. So if you want in, just post a comment. And we have our live stream going on, and then we have the TV show going on. So if the spirit moves you, go ahead and jump in, and we will get a conversation going with the candidates. Who's up first? I know, Frank, or is it the analyst? Oh, okay. Ron. Okay. Now I can hear people walking around out there. Oh, and for those of you guys, if you just joined, we put up a video on our YouTube channel, speaking of our YouTube channel, of the Cruising with the Candidates. It's a new series that we've launched where Chris Barnett, Malfunction from I-94 FM, took our congressional delegate. So he took Congressman Berdallo, and they strolled around and talked about stuff, and it's surprisingly serious. You know, coming from Chris, you know, like Mr. Punchline and everything like that. You know, they actually talked about some pretty poignant topics. So check that out. And we've got all the stories already from tonight's show already up on YouTube. They've been there for a while. And now that I think about it, I've got some stuff up on kwin.com. I should check in on. It is, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, because this video chat program, you have to have a really fast video card, otherwise, like the graphics get all grainy and yeah, it's nasty. Yeah. And for those of you geeks out there wondering about our gear, I will be more than happy to talk shop with you guys about exactly what gear we're running to make this work. And if you guys want to do your own hangouts, we can definitely talk tech. Oops. Okay, let me make sure. Okay, so again, we're just hanging out for now. Oh, yep, I am making sure the stream is HD quality. that's a cool thing about being now that that we're technically we're on the air. So there's and like it's after 6 already. So most of our full-time staffers went home, even though we've got all the production guys here because of course we're live. I get all the bandwidth, and we've got a lot of bandwidth going in here. So you can do some cool things when you have a lot of pipe, obviously. Oops. And I'm just making sure that our stream is copacetic. Okay, and I can actually hear in the background they're taking phone calls now, so cool. Okay, and just to make sure that I don't eat up all of our pipe, I'm going to take myself off Wi-Fi and try this over LTE. Okay, there we go. Oh, that's weird. Our Wi-Fi was kind of okay. There we are. So the delay, if you're wondering, the Hangout Center, how narcissistic is that? Wow. The delay on this is about 14 seconds. Looks like. Okay, so we are good to go. So jump in if you like. Once again, we are here for the next 45 minutes. It's looking like. And I'm wondering. Where are we? Okay. Okay, so a few of our production people right here, just to give you guys a behind-the-scenes look. Some of the people thought it was a half-hour show, but they were delightfully surprised to hear that we're on the air for an hour. From where? Ooh, what's down there? Okay, cool. We got some more viewers because I can see that. So. Oh, okay. So if you guys are watching on TV right now, you guys are obviously acclimated with what's going on and everything. I can hear Senator Chris Duenas. I already saw Frank Uggan Jr. He walked by and said hi. Frank's always been a friend. And I believe Senator Tony Atta is also there. I know there's five. Oh, and Adolfo Palacios, the former senator, is scheduled to be here tonight, but I haven't seen him yet. But I think we're going to get 3 of those guys coming back. And if you're wondering exactly where we are, because we're not in the TV studio, that's on the other side of the suite. We are here. It's all on one floor. I'm in the conference room right now, and we've just that's the cool thing about KUAM is basically every possible resource. So basically, like every wall, every table, every chair, every employee, at some point can be a prop, and most of us have been. Talking about the human resources as well as the furniture, the plants. We've got a particular ficus, and I'm looking at it right now. That's been in many commercials here. Basically, everything in the studio is a part of our set, and there are many times when people just walk by and they're like, "Hey, we're shooting a commercial," and most of us are used to it right now. But we actually architected and engineered the building to do just that, like to be able to walk by things and have KUM function as it's very tour friendly. But then because we're also a production house and everything like that, everything in here has to be ready to go as a part of a program at any time. And that's a fun challenge. Okay. All right, we got Vincent joining us. Vincent, Hafade, how you doing?
Good, hi.
Where are you coming from?
I'm calling from Timoni.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good to see you. Okay, I can hear in the background you've got the TV program on too. So. All right.
Yeah, I'm watching it now.
Oh, okay, yeah. The senators will be joining us, I know, as soon as they're done with Sabrina over there. I'm back in the conference room.
Okay.
So they'll be back here, and you can talk to them directly.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so good. And are you using a camera phone, I'm assuming?
I'm using a iPad.
An iPad, okay, very nice.
Yeah.
Which version?
I think it's the iPad 3.
Oh, nice. That's a really fast one. I'm jealous. Yeah. I've got a couple devices. I've got like my smartwatch. I've got my head computer. I've got my phone. But
Wow.
your iPad 3. I'm jealous of you, sir.
Yeah, I use it for just about everything.
Oh man. I've actually been thinking about getting one of those because we're going to start writing some apps for iPad. So that's my excuse. I'm like, yeah, we need 3 or 4 iPad 3s for official purposes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is our fancy way of saying Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us. This is actually the first time we've done this, and it's working out pretty well so far.
So what's the format? What's going to happen?
Oh, okay. So as soon as the guest that Sabrina has, as soon as they're done with her, we've got a page, I guess, or an usher, and she's going to bring some of the senators back here, the candidates, I should say. And then you guys, well, you for now, will be able to interact with them directly. So basically, you and I will be able to sit down and have a conversation in real time with them. And you can actually ask them to extend some of the conversations they're having with Sabrina right now. Like if you weren't happy with their question or you want them to reiterate something, or you can go in a completely different direction and ask them about their platform. Or if they're incumbents, you can ask them hold their feet to the fire, take them to task, whatever.
Okay, very good. So I just wait until this is over then. Huh?
Oh, okay. If you don't mind me asking, Vincent, what do you do?
Actually, I'm retired from federal service.
Okay, very good.
I used to work for the Navy. I'm a social work counselor. I retired in 2007.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a lot of friends that went to UOG to study social work.
Thank you, Sabrina. Well, thank you to the people who
And that is a demanding profession right there.
Yeah, it's you certainly don't go in it for the money. You go in for because you believe in public service.
Well, I was actually referring to the emotional strain it takes on you and everything.
Yeah, but you managed to handle that through experience.
Yeah, I could never do that though. It's way too emotionally taxing. The stuff you guys deal with is.
Yeah, but you have to know when to take a break and to be able to handle the the fatigue of the profession.
Mhm. You don't mind me asking what do you think you'll be asking some of the candidates?
Well, I'm interested on their views and perspective on issues such as same-sex marriage or civil unions.
Okay.
I'm interested in what's their position on continuing legislation that seems to be popping up across the country on limiting abortions, for example. The laws that are passed on Guam. And
that's always a tough one. Whenever we, every 2 years, whenever we interview like senatorial candidates about that, that's always a real dicey one. And you can physically or literally see like a lot of candidates are very uncomfortable asking that because I mean it's how do you give the perfect answer for that?
Oh, you really can't. They really have to answer from their subjective perspective. How do they feel about it? And if they're true to themselves as an honest individual, I would appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, and some people, I think, I mean, not every candidate would do this, but the ones that are they would throw caution to the wind, and they just said, like, I'm going to talk about, what my faith leads me to believe and to practice, and like what I personally feel is like the best thing to do. And if it loses me votes, it loses me votes. Like I can only be, I can only be true to my beliefs.
Let's see, what else would I ask them? The budget. I'm interested in how they see the current budget that for the upcoming fiscal year.
Okay. And Vincent, if I would respectfully, if I can just ask you, you might want to try leaning your iPad maybe a little bit, or maybe hold it out a little bit more in front of you, because your head tends to dip in and out of the shot.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, thank you. Okay, and they are coming back right now, so I can hear them. Okay, that would be Frank. Hey, Frank, huh? Oh, you were on the scale, okay.
Yeah, like Tyson is a little heavier than
Hey, look, how you doing, Tony? Good to see you guys. Hey. Thanks for coming by.
Okay, what are you doing?
Okay, so now we are basically just going to have a conversation. We've invited some of the voters here. Vincent, go ahead and say hi, because we have Senators Frank Hogan Jr. and Tony out of here.
Okay. Can they see me?
Oh, no way!
Oh, and then Senator Chris Guinness is here too, so let me turn this.
Hi, Vince.
Hello.
Do you guys know Vincent already?
Hi, Vince. How about it? Hi, Vince. How about it?
So there we are.
There you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna say let me try and get them all in the shot. You don't need it. You don't need to see me. These guys, it's sex sells obviously. So like our rating just went way up when Okay, so for those of you who don't know Vince, he said he is a retired federal worker and he's from Tamuning. So he would like to ask you gentlemen some questions. Sure.
Okay. A couple issues, but let me start off with the military buildup. Okay. Where do you three currently stand on the buildup in terms of weighing the issues of indigenous concerns as well as the federal expansion of the footprint on Guam?
Well, Vince, if I may, with the concerns of my colleague here, I want to Thank you very much for bringing up an issue that's very critical to our community and reasonable for the next 5 to 10 years. I want to say that the process right now is that the draft SEIS and the responses that the community provided is being reviewed. The SEIS, my understanding, should be out by the first quarter of next year, calendar year, and then the record of decision will be released shortly after that. I think if you're talking about the net zero, which is one of the 4 pillars that the Department of Navy and the Department of Defense committed to the Community of Guam Act in 2010. And one of the 4 pillars is net zero gains in federal properties. So that commitment, based on what has been discussed over the course of the last 4 months, is and continues to be met. The issue of indigenous overlay refuge trying to affect the deforestation of some of the properties within the gates. We just received very excellent news in the last few weeks. The military is looking at refraining from touching some of the overlay refuge and the limestone forest in exchange for looking at some of the cantonment and housing at the Anderson Air Force Base. So that is, they are listening to some of the issues and the concerns coming from our community, and I just want to thank our people for rendering those issues and presenting those comments.
Okay.
Senator Huggins has actually completed the whole segment there because we all briefed on the military bill up together, and he is the oversight for that. And sitting on this committee, that we were able to get this information from them, and also he disseminated out to us. So we stand. At least I stand in support of the military buildup, and as long as they stick to the 4 pillars of their agreement on the negative footprint, and also the other agreements that they held to, then it looks like that this military buildup will be moving forward as time goes on. What's the record of decision?
Vince, the 2 gentlemen have handled it very well. I just want to address your issue directly on the discussion of
And you may want to speak up on account of the distance. I'm
the
sorry.
effect of on our local population. I want you to know that I myself, along with my colleagues, have been working directly with the families up in Aruna. Once the decision was discussed about the Northwest Deal, and one of the net negatives, it's nice to just say net negative, but one of the things that we put on the table on the record and has been submitted as part of the comments was the return of Route 3A, not just for the Arteros, but for the people of Guam, because many of our tourists go down to visit, our people go down, our children go down to learn and to visit in the environment down there in the sanctuary, and our economic development for all of us, because our kids might be working there if they're able to realize the highest and best use, all the families up there. But I want you to know that directly I have been making sure that our local issues are protected as much as possible for the people of Guam.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Vince.
Well, Vince and I were actually talking before you gentlemen came in, senators. You said you actually had some questions, Vince, pertinent to human rights. Now, these ones are always obviously like very, very contentious when it comes to like topics of abortion or gay marriage and like things like that. Based on one's beliefs and what we grow up, like learning to believe in church or what your family morals are and everything like that. Before you begin to address Vince's problems as politicians and everything like that, how do you approach like not just these issues and everything, but things that depending on how you answer and everything like that, you're never going to be able to please all of the people at the same time. How do you deal with like those kind of responses?
Well, with me, what I do is that I listen to all. I listen to the pros and cons. And you're absolutely right, Jason. We're not going to be able to please everyone all the time. But when you get the majority of what the people are out there, what they feel out there, and how the issues are being presented, you make your best decision on the issues that are presented to you, and hopefully that those that have a comment or concern about it, that they do come out, especially when a bill is introduced, that they do come out and testify in favor or not in favor or opposed to the bill, so that we can get all this information and gather it, because that's the best way to make a decision, a sound decision, is to ensure that we get as much information that we can from the people.
You know what? I like this question, and I know that it's always one, especially Vince. I've been around a lot of politicians, and they will tell you quietly, be careful and stay away from this and stay away from that. But the one thing I want to be clear on is when it comes to civil liberties and those issues, you know, it's the government that has to ascertain what is the difference between a religious belief and a civil right for a person. And even like my friend BJ Cruz has admitted, and that's probably why he refrained now from introducing legislation when it comes to civil unions, because the federal government has realized if two people care about each other, they should be able to have certain protections, like passing on land and property or something that they have to give that person, or to give that person ability to sign off on medical treatment or their death certificate. And that's the government's responsibility. The government has no reason to be involved in religious dispute. The government should always be involved in making sure what are the rights of our people. I am a Catholic, a practicing Catholic, and I abide by the Catholic beliefs. But as a government official, I must be sensitive that there are times when there is a civil liberty that we have to look at to ensure that those people that have rights and love each other, want to take care of each other, have that right too. And so I'll always be sensitive to that. But you know, that's why government should do government work and the church do its work.
Now, Frank, you know, I would say few politicians here on Guam know better than you, based on your experience, you know, the delicate balance between upholding your beliefs and, you know, and then the beliefs of your family and your faith, and then, you know, strategic political positioning and everything like that. I mean, it is a very delicate balance, and it's very, very tough. I would say probably impossible and everything. Is there a perfect way to answer a question, or is there any topic that would say is a slam dunk?
I think that in response to the question, is there a perfect way Jason gets to answer the question? It's got to be true. You have to be true to yourself in terms of responding. A good example is,
if it costs you your career, it costs you your career.
It costs me my career.
Okay.
And one thing that I've noticed, at least in my position, first of all, I need to be able to listen to some of the concerns and perspectives that are shared with you, regardless of what my position is. I need to understand where some of our people are coming from with their position. The reality is like, for example, pro-life. A life is a life is a life. Period. There's no such thing as if, in fact, someone unfortunately was raped in that particular case. And my responsibility as a Catholic is to make sure that I continue to uphold that particular position. That over time, I've noticed that if I am true to our people and I respond to them the way I sincerely feel, I need to be able to respond so that they understand my perspective. Then our people will be able to take that, absorb it, and then hopefully give me that opportunity to serve again. I've been through perhaps one very contentious about 2.5 weeks out from a general election issue, and I was able to survive that and surprisingly performed extremely well because I stood on that podium. I shared my perspective with our people and I asked them for consideration. And it was because I was true in terms of relaying my perspective, because it was extremely divisive at that time. So we just have to be true to our people. That's what our people want us to do. They want us to represent them. They want us to improve the quality of life, but they also want us to be sincere with them in terms of how we respond to certain key and critical things.
Okay.
Jason, you'll find that people, and I think Vince has probably experienced this, you will find that people, even if they sometimes vehemently disagree with you, will respect you for a position that you take.
Oh, okay.
And will respect that you can make that decision and make decisions at a time that you have to make a decision. And so I think that that's the essence of service. You know, I have had so many people that have said to me a couple of times, you know, hey, I didn't agree with you on that position, but you know what? I like the fact that you took a position and you stand. So that's got to be at your core when you get into public service and you want to serve.
Okay, well, Vince, once again from Tamuning, those are the generalities and everything like that. Now, let's go ahead and address what specific questions you have about this. By the way, Vince is joining us on an iPad 3, which I'm insanely jealous of he has right now. We were talking tech before you guys walked in and everything, so Vince is geared up. Vince has a lot of cool toys.
Yeah. You know, with regard to the same-sex marriage or civil union.
All right, so thanks a lot, everybody. We're having a really good conversation right here. We have Vince from Tamuning right now. He's a federal retiree, and he is asking the good senators, the incumbents, some interesting and probably difficult challenges about human rights. So, Vince, if you would, please.
Okay, with the same-sex marriage thing, as you know, many states have already passed laws that permit same-sex marriage in certain states, okay? It's not across the country, but it's increasing. More and more states are passing laws that permit same-sex marriage. Now with Guam, of course, we don't have such a law, but would you be in favor of that being put to the people as a referendum, perhaps?
Okay, so possibly the referendum of same-sex marriage here on the island, and we'll start, with Senator Chris Wayne.
the people should always have their voice and should always speak, Vince. As I said earlier, the current federal regulations in terms of allowing for rights have been stated and have actually pleased a lot of the folks, who have entered into those type of relationships. The one thing that I'd like to see, Vince, I would like to see a referendum like that, just like other referendums get put on the ballot, a grassroots movement. Folks going out there and getting together and saying, we want our voices heard, we want to represent this to GEC, we want the people to decide on this type of thing. Because I, at this point, would not introduce a referendum like that, I would be very clear. But I would also, listen to all sides when a grassroots movement puts a perspective like that out.
Okay, Senator Adams.
Thank you, Vince. The states that have the same-sex union, I know currently there are some states that are going through some issues with it, and there are some states that have continued on with their laws. And I think we need to look at what concerns they had or what challenges they had in these types of legislations that they put forward, and hopefully that. Once they work out their kinks, that it should a referendum here be placed before the people and they vote on it, then we'd be able to have that crafted out to where it would be, the kinks that those states ran into, we won't follow those same mistakes, and we'd be able to have a piece of legislation that is better, well written, and better put together, so that once it goes through, there'll be no challenges towards it, and it'll be a smooth passage into law, and I think that's what we really need to look at and hopefully be able to address someday.
Vince, first of all, thank you very much for your question. I think it's very pertinent to today's society. In my particular case, I have to say that I believe marriage is between a male and a female, but it goes back again to what the leader of the Catholic Church said not too long ago. He said, who am I, paraphrasing what he said, who am I to judge any individual for the decisions that they make? And I think just leaning on that particular statement that Pope Francis stepped forward and he said, our church has to get back to the foundation and to the grassroots approach in terms of being inclusive of our entire community. So with that being said, I think that I need to continue to recognize and respect every individual for the decisions and the actions that they take. But it goes back to who am I to judge?
Okay, so these and many more topics are being discussed right now. We are live in our video chat, and we offer you the same opportunity like Vince from Tamuning. We got a lot more to talk about, trust me. So if you would like to get in on our live video chat right now, just go onto our Facebook fan page. We've got the live YouTube stream going. Post a comment, send us your Gmail address, and we'll definitely add you in and send you an invite, and you can interact with our senators and our analysts and the other guests we have here tonight. So the conversation continues on live.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vince, for watching.
All right, and we're going back to. So how hot literally is your lap now from holding your holding your shiny fancy iPad there on your lap? You're going full video mode for the last few minutes.
That was very good. That was excellent.
And you've in the 10 minutes that we've been talking, you probably killed your battery by 70%. Do all you guys know each other, by the way? Do you guys know friends?
You look familiar.
Yeah, I know these guys. I know. I know.
Well, he knows you, obviously.
Yeah.
My dad's from Tamuning, and I was growing up in Tamuning. So
Okay.
You're a long-time resident, Vince, I'm sure, but you look familiar.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm a long-term GovGuam employee who then went to the federal government and worked there for several years. And
Oh, right on.
Well, I actually had a question specifically for Senator Adda. This is mainly out of curiosity. This has nothing to do largely with politics. As a businessman, your family's business with the funeral services. Is there a movement to have more crematoriums here on island, and maybe even for veterinary services?
Because the population is only so big.
Yeah.
Cremation still is not, our beliefs is burial, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Catholic faith, right? But just recently, where the Catholic Church has opened up and said, okay, we can allow cremation if it's to be buried.
Mm-hmm.
But still, the number of people that are looking towards cremation is not that great. People still want the traditional funerals of seeing the body, being there, and actually watching the body being buried. our tradition is still very strong.
And the equipment to do that, I would assume, is incredibly expensive. Right? Because
Well,
it's not just a barbecue pit, obviously. Right?
no, it's not, and the
Not to make light of it,
but the expense that you have to put into it, the amount of money you have to put into establishing and opening a forum,
Mhm.
and the numbers are not there to support it. It doesn't make sense to
Mhm.
actually. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 funeral homes here,
Mhm.
right? And only 2 have crematoriums.
Yeah.
So
Are you licensed, or is it possible
Yeah.
to use that for species other than human beings?
you can.
Yeah.
They're made for it, but ours we never had any animals placed in there.
Mhm.
So from day one, since our inception of cremation to this very day, it has cremated nothing but human remains.
Okay. Well, I guess the other, like, since we're going off on tangents here, Frank, I hope that during my career here at KUM, I will still be around being Sabrina's, comic relief and everything like that. When somebody puts a star on your shoulder and we can call you General again.
Thank you. Someday down the road.
Because you're a major now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
What is the transition now from major to lieutenant colonel? Like how many
Lieutenant Colonel,
how many years in between?
As a matter of fact, we traditionally have anywhere from 46 years. 46 years to be able to attain the Lieutenant Colonel.
Okay.
And that should be right around the corner next year, and we'll proceed from there.
Okay. Well, Vince, and I know you said you're retired as a social work consultant, but have you have any military experience yourself?
Well, I was in the military for 2 years.
Okay.
But this was back in the Vietnam era. I was drafted in 1969.
Mm.
So
And which branch of service?
The Army. I was.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm a Vietnam era veteran.
Well,
He's a veteran to the Army.
No, I was gonna say that the two Atta boys, if you will, like Senator Tony Atta and Tom Atta. Every time Tom comes in here and everything like that, when I interview him, I was like, okay, you only have to sit down with Tom Atta for literally like 35 seconds before he tells you that he's a proud infantryman for life and everything. So I always say, can I get a hoo-yah? And like he shakes the walls when he.
You see, Senator Tom Atta wasn't as smart as I was. I went aviation. I flew everywhere I
No, my dad actually, little known fact about me. I mean, not to like name drop or anything, but my dad's a former senator, and he wanted to be a pilot more than anything in the world, but because of his eyes, he couldn't go.
Just in defense of my Democratic colleague, I'm going to have to say he was an airborne ranger. He was very actively involved.
I was aerosol.
Well, so you repelled from helicopters. Oh, that's a fun job. What was your MOS, Vince?
Since I was a draftee, I was 11 Bravos infantry.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Thank you for
and
your service.
infantry and Chris, you were were you in the military?
No, I skipped that part of my life.
Boy Scouts or anything? I was in ROTC, so that's.
Actually, I was a Boy Scout.
Okay.
But I'm an ocean one. So I've spent 16 years of my life on the water, fishing. I'm a certified submarine pilot. I also have my captain's license. So, the closest to military protocol I've come is having to comply with all Coast Guard regulations, and I'm well adept to the CFR. If anyone in the room knows.
Okay, well let's back that up for a second because we were talking about about cremation and things like that. What are the regulations here? And the two of you respectively, Frank, you can jump in on this too. About and Vince, if you would, because I honestly don't know about on Guam since we're so small. About being buried at sea. What are the channels you have to go through if that is your last wish?
Burial at sea is 3 miles out. 3 miles out, and that is for the I believe it's for the remains.
Right.
But I believe that if you have been cremated, you need the distance requirements.
Yeah, there's no distance.
There's no distance requirement. You can down to the seashore.
Yeah. But if the body is still intact.
The full body is intact. 3 miles.
Do you, Vince? Have you any knowledge of this and everything? I mean, I'm just intellectually curious and everything like that. But I've heard a lot of people say they would prefer to be buried at sea. I just don't know how you go about it.
I've done it.
I don't know. As a Catholic, I don't know if the Catholic Church permits burial at sea.
Well, that's the other side. Frank,
They do permit burial at sea. Even with cremated remains.
Post service.
Post after the church service. With the catch-22 of the cremated remains is you cannot scatter. So if you're going to bury it, see the cremated remains, it has to go down intact. You cannot open it and scatter. So that's the only catch-22. But other than that, seed burial is a method of disposition that is a part of it.
I will be buried at sea.
Okay, well, the funny thing about me is, like, again, like, completely random story. When I told a priest once, and I said, I would like to, because I've always been, like, really introverted and really shy, and I said, I can't imagine myself being, like, in a plot of land. No disrespect to anybody who does, but I can't imagine myself being in a plot of land with, people I don't know for technically eternity, right? So I told my priest, and I said, like, if something happens to me, I would like to be cremated. And they looked at me, he's like, oh, so you want to burn twice?
My story.
And I was like, okay, so that's the end of that.
My story is this, Jason and Vince. Since I have caught and killed so many fish, I told my son I want him to put me in the urn, seal it up really well, and get out there nice and far, hopefully find the school, and throw it over so all the fish can come and attack it and get their revenge.
Well, since we're talking about mortality, Vince, you have any more positive questions to ask of the senators? Their favorite recipes, perhaps, or something, so we won't be so morbid tonight?
Well, one thing I could ask is, because it's going to be apparently on the vote, is the marijuana referendum.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Do you think it's got a good chance of passing?
Okay, so just your honest opinion. We'll start with Frank. Like, do you think it's going to pass?
I think in this particular case, I certainly hope that our people are well educated with the substance of the entire legislation. And my position has been on this particular proposal that I do not support medicinal marijuana. And that's primarily because I believe that there's a federal process in place that would allow and assure the nation and the community through FDA, Food and Drug Administration, that this particular drug is viable, and these are some of the symptoms that could result in terms of you taking it. So I feel we get to that point where the federal government recognizes that it is a drug that can be made available nationwide in vast numbers. I'm just not supportive of it.
Okay, quickly, Senator Adam.
Yeah, I think that what's going to happen when the referendum does go up for a vote, I think if the people are not educated on it, I think it may have a hard time passing. But I think once the information on the uses and the pros and cons of them go out and people are more educated about it, who knows? It just may pass. But at this point,
one prominent attorney has indicated that even if it passes, there's a good chance that it could be subject to challenge because it may be inorganic. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I read that. You're talking about Howard Trapp, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then also, I don't know if you caught the article this morning, Vince, by Bill Pesh. Bill Pesh actually outlines exactly what we're talking about right here and the position that I have as well. First of all, let me tell you what I think the vote should be. I think in my polling of the people so far, there is there's very, very little education out there right now. Some people actually even think, especially young people, think that we're legalizing marijuana full blown. So I think the vote is going to be more of a referendum vote on a yes or a no policy, because I don't think most people going in are truly educated on the issue. There's the structure of the current proposal I do not support, and for the very reasons that were expressed at the public hearings. First, by the medical community, because just like Senator Uggan and Senator Ada said, I can tell you, Vince, probably not one doctor would prescribe the medicinal marijuana anyways because they would be afraid of losing their license. Just because Eric Holder, who's a short-termer now, is not enforcing this issue, and the Obama administration is not. We don't know who the next president is going to be unless it's made a Schedule II or otherwise substance. It is always going to be subject to prosecution, and it's illegal, and it's a high crime right now to be able to dispense that if they were to come down and crack down. The second part was public health. Public health is adamant that they have zero resources to regulate and to deal with even the quality control of cannabis that would come through the island, and they're the head agency to deal with it. So I want to end with this, Vince. Having lost 2 members in my family to the scourge of cancer, and I directly were at their bedside and saw them for months have pain, and seeing young people who appear as though some neurological disorders can be addressed by this, I want to say that I think the medical community, even stateside, if you watch Sanjay Gupta on CNN, a lead doctor, and you watch, I think it's called Pot 1 and Pot 2, it's on their website. You'd be amazed at some of the discoveries, and he completely changed his mind as a doctor who was fully against before. So there's a lot of conversation here, but this policy is not good policy at this point.
I would think, Vince, just in the interest of fairness, from what we've heard here, like the KUM, the counter argument would be a lot of Guamanians say, well, look at what's happening in Washington State and Colorado, and these are significant states that are big university communities. There's a lot of research that goes into that, very large scientific communities, very affluent economies and everything. And like look at the minimum wage now in Washington and everything. So when people try and compare our community to larger, more established communities and everything like that, how do we keep things in proportion? Or how do we make things like relative when you try? Because it's not comparing apples to oranges.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. You got to realize, and it's one thing that I know that I've enjoyed working with Senator Elgin and Senator Ada when we've co-sponsored legislation, because I know it's well researched, it's well put together, and the fact of the matter is they will take the time to go through roundtables and do whatever it takes to ensure that the policy before it hits the floor or before emotions can take over and sometimes force the issue forward. If we use the model of really researching legislation properly and making sure it's well vetted, we don't end up with these community conversations that pit us against each other because we're not using information and data to drive the policy. Mm-hmm. So you're right. I mean, you have people in Colorado, in Washington State. I have a lot of family in Washington State. Mm-hmm. They sometimes look at me and say, "What the hell is the matter with you guys over there?" But the fact of the matter is, they do realize that they're very advanced, and a lot of research has been put out.
And I think one thing that we also need to recognize about Vince, Jason, is that by virtue of things happening in Washington State and Colorado, that is forcing the federal government to now look at this drug or to look at medicinal marijuana as a possibility. So they're doing due diligence in terms of conducting some research, but they have yet to validate the extent of that particular research. So at least the issue is being reviewed by the federal government, and the question now is how long will it take for them to come up with the findings?
That's right.
Okay. And although it is a trivial matter, like our camera guy here, Jake, let me show you exactly what we're.
What happened?
Engine decreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealing, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Call 646-5555 today for your appointment or stop by for your free estimate. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Located in the Tamuini Industrial Park behind Atkins Grove Toyota. Elegant Reflections.
It's like you're gone, huh?
It's the summer clearance event going on now at Cars Plus. New 2014 Hyundai Accent, J.D. Power and Associates' highest-ranked small car and emission quality on sale. Just $13,571 for $107 per paycheck. Find a huge selection of well-equipped vehicles with Bluetooth remote keyless entry and more. Plus, and all back on Cars Plus, 10-year 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty, the best warranty on law. It's the year's biggest savings at Cars Plus. Cars Plus, driven by you. Chili's is local. Come and enjoy the flavors of Guam. Try our short ribs, chop steak, or pork belly, and more. Chili's local flavor, served all day, every day. Let's get it started.
Hey, can you tell Vince it was fish cutlet for me?
Okay, yeah, sorry. Oh, here we are. Okay. Oh, sorry about that, Vince. We lost our connection. Okay, and Senator Chris Duenas said his was fish Kelligwin. He just wanted to let you know that. Okay, and then if you just want to stick around for a couple more minutes, we have former Senator Adolfo Palacios and Val Perez here.
Are you doing well? Yes, sir. Very well. Very well. How about you?
Oh, good. Hanging in there.
Here, you want me here?
You can come close that way. Okay. Okay, so what we have here, gentlemen, is Vince is from Tamuning. Whoops. And if I don't wind up electrocuting myself. Here he is.
Okay, where's the camera, by the way? Is it this camera or is it that camera?
Oh, like he'll wave us when he's on. Okay, so Vince is actually joining us tonight. He is live, and he's got a really nice iPad 3, which I am insanely jealous of. I keep coming back to that because he's got really cool gear. But Vince, of course, we have here Val Perez, who is a very successful businessman in the area of finance and accounting. I know that, and I remember you when you were a kicker in the Miller Football League.
Oh yes. Oh wow.
He had a leg, Vince. I don't know if you're a big football guy, but Val kicked many an extra point. I remember.
Let's definitely try it. It was fun. You know that.
And of course, former Senator Palacios, your own accomplishments are very, very well noted. A expert in the area of security and policy making. So, Vince, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask the two gentlemen?
Let me see. Well, good evening, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Very well. Thank you. Yourself?
I don't know Mr. Perez, but I know our Palacios because I used to work with him at the court.
Okay. So old friends then.
When he was chief marshal.
I served 2 times. First in '83 for about 18 months. I was a little bit, I guess, disappointed with the rejection for my promotion to captain, so I left. But I never really left GPD. My heart was always there, and I returned after 18 months back to GPD in about '84. And then when I retired, I actually retired from the Guam Police Department in '89. Then I served under the Presiding Judge La Morena for my second tour of so-called duty, another 18 months.
Can you ever truly retire from the Guam Police Department, or is it like being in the U.S. Marine Corps, where once a Marine, always a Marine? Are you always a part of GPD?
Once police officer, always police officer. I mean,
I set him up, you knock him down. That was a good question. A good answer too.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Val, what do you think you bring to the table as a prospective senator for voters like Vince as a? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so Vince, if you'd like to ask Val a question and everything, please.
Okay, well, Val, what do you think is the most pressing issue that like Guam faces that really needs to be addressed, by our lawmakers?
There's so many out there that everyone has a priority of one of them. For me personally, what I think really needs to be addressed is more the economic issue. I'm a finance person, and we do have some debt service coming up, but I don't think we've really done enough to kind of tighten our belts or do any austerity measures to help ourselves make debt service payments, and that's mine. It's finance.
Yeah, and I would say it always comes down to money, and that's as much it's as much a scapegoat and as a easy way out as it is, an opportunity and everything like that. So what do you think you bring to the table as far as financial expertise and like taking Guam in maybe a different, if not continuous direction as far as managing our money?
Quite frankly, I'm very excited about where we're going because what we've done in the past 2 years, I've seen people be very happy. They received their tax refund. Moving forward, what's going to take is hopefully a little bit of a voice of reason in the background, kind of nagging everybody, saying, hey, look, folks, we do have debt service to pay. We have debt payments. We have more people to take care of and more services that everyone wants to kind of put out there. I mean, that's every legislature, every senator has a platform, and they're all calling for an increase in something. Nobody has ever said, hey, I think we've got too much public safety. I think we have too much education out there.
And that was Senator Michael Sinicholas' whole platform, because he was like, hey, I'm a banker, I bring, certain skills, and I believe that we can do, we can restructure like our financial position. I can hopefully, like, the money that we do make can be invested and put to better uses and everything like that, and hopefully take some of the areas where we're not making money and hopefully capitalize that, like on hospital collections.
And it's a great point. Anybody can make it. Anybody can say these things and mean it, and I love it because he said it, and I'm very happy he did. I'm not familiar with his background, but what he said just makes perfect sense, and I'm all for it. I think that's great. I think I can help in that department. I think I can help back him up and say, this is what we need to do in order to make sure that the next 5, 10, 15, 25 years for our children is a great time on this island.
Spoken like someone who's managed bonds before. when you break down the denominations like that. Okay, last question, Vince, and then we'll let you go before your wonderful tech toy there runs out of battery.
Yeah, okay. I guess my last question is that where do you stand on the military buildup when you weigh the federal expansion on Guam as opposed to the indigenous concerns that people have with the military, wanting to be more in control of Guam?
Well, is that for me, Jason?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Well, I support and I never wavered my support of the military buildup, and I trust the United States government we'll see to it, of course, that the consequences for military buildup, whatever that it may bring, they will be ready to address. I do not believe that the United States government is going to invest billions of dollars in one and then forget the civilian side, because it will be an embarrassment. After all, it is U.S. flag, it is U.S. soil, and so based on that faith, there will be more benefit than, let's say, problems with the build-up. There will be economic growth, definitely, and with there's money, we can cure a lot of things with money. And I support military build-up.
Oh, very good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, Vince, thank you so much for joining, and we hope to see you next week as well. So we'll send you an invite again if you'd like to join us.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. We couldn't have done it without you. Your input is certainly valued.
Okay. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye. Okay, and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show. Yeah. I know. I guess some of the